Hello everyone. So as you can see, this video is going to be an introductory video for NCERT History Revision series. So as you all know that history isn't just about the past, but it is a cornerstone of many competitive exams like UPSC, like UGC NET, like DSSSB, like KVS exams, NVS exams, and more. Okay. So, understanding the key events, the dates, and movements that are given in the NCERT history is very much crucial for cracking these exams. That is why I am launching this new series where we will zero in on the most important facts from NCERT history books, classes 6 to 12. These are nuggets of information you must memorize to excel any of these examination. Okay, so as many of you would have remembered that initially I considered offering this as a paid course, but I believe after thinking over it that everyone should have access to this valuable content. So I'm making it so I am making it available for free on YouTube. So and here is a tip. As we go through these videos, I encourage you to take notes. You can take your running notes because this will help solidify your knowledge whatever you will gain from these videos this series, and your consolidated notes, your solidified notes will provide you an excellent resource for last minute revision. Okay, so let us dive into today's topic and start mastering history together. All right, so this is your chapter number 1, what, where, how and when, from class 6th NCERT, book name Our Past. So, as I already told, we will not be reading out the whole chapter, but we will focus only on the key information and info important points to remember that that will be beneficial for the exam point of view. So, the first thing is this chapter talks about Narmada River, and it talks that on the banks of this river, people have lived for several years. Second thing is it talks about Suleiman and Kirthar Hills, and the location is important here that Suleiman and Kirthar Hills are in the northwest of India. Here, particularly here, Kirthar and Suleiman Hills. Okay, so present day it is a part of Pakistan. So these are the areas where people uh, grew crops such as wheat and barley. So this is the question that they might ask you that there is one more question with respect to rice that we will read further. Okay, but here it is about wheat and barley only. It is not about rice. So Suleiman and Kirthar Hills uh, were the areas where wheat and barley was grown, and it is in the northwest part of our country. Okay, third thing is Garo Hills. Garo Hills, as you must be knowing that Garo, Khasi, and Jaintia. These are three famous hills that is a part of Northwest, particularly the state Meghalaya. So this hill, Garo Hills, particularly in the northeast, and the Vindhyas in central India is also important location that has been discussed in this chapter. And why Garo and central India? The areas around Vindhyas. These two areas are important because here the agriculture developed. And the place where rice, as I already mentioned earlier, was first grown to the north of Vindhyas, which means central Indian part. Okay, so it is very important to note down that rice was cultivated, rice was grown in central India, and Wheat and barley was grown in northwest part of India, that is precisely Suleiman and Kirthar hills. Okay, the next important location is River Indus and its tributaries. Okay, so on these very locations, the earliest cities were flourished. That is why this location is important. Next location is about Ganga and its tributary called the Son. So as we already know and as we read in geography that Son river is an important river from Bihar. So it is a tributary of Ganga. So this location is important because in ancient times there was this powerful Mahajanapada known as Magadha. So now it lies in the state of Bihar. So that is why this location is important here. Next, the important thing that might be asked in the examination is the name of our country. There are two names, India and Bharat. And recently we have seen a big controversy regarding the naming of our country. But keeping that aside, the word India comes from the Indus called Sindhu in Sanskrit. So this can also be asked given the controversy which is a part of recent current affairs. So the meaning of India, um, meaning or the other name in Sanskrit is Sindhu. Okay, and why it is called so? So here is the reason given. The Iranians and the Greeks who came through the northwest about this years ago and were familiar with the Indus called it the Hindus or the Indus. Okay, so another important information that we got from here is that Iranians and Greeks, so obviously their location lies in the northwest part of our country, that is Central Asia. So, so it is very logical that they will come through that area only. So they came from there and they were familiar with the river Indus, and because of their accented pronunciation, they called it Hindos or Indos, and the land to the east of the river was called India. So Indus River, as they would call it, and the land east to this river would be called as India. So this name is given by Iranians and Greeks in ancient times itself. Okay, it is not a new version. It is not a modern name. The name Bharata was used for a group of people. Now it is about Bharata. So earlier, Bharata was denoted to for a group of people, and those people who used to live in northwest areas. Okay, and these group of people were mentioned in Rig Veda as well. Okay, and later, so firstly, the term Bharata was mentioned to be used for a group of people, and later it was used for the country. So this is the origin and history of the two names of our country, India and Bharat. Next important thing is about manuscript. So they might ask you the meaning of manuscript. So manuscript comes from the Latin word, and the manu or manu, whatever you call it, means hand. Okay. So manuscript means a handwritten thing, and it was written on majorly on palm leaf. Okay, specifically prepared bark of a tree known as the birch. So bark of birch tree which grows in the Himalayas. Okay, and here it is. The palm leaves were cut into pages and tied together to make books. Okay, so this is how they used to write and preserve important things in writing. And these manuscripts were preserved in temples and monasteries. This is also important information that might be asked in examination. So it might seem to you that it is a very simple information, but in examination hall with two, three options and very similar and very um, alike options, we tend to get confused. So there were three languages in which these manuscripts were written in ancient times. That is Sanskrit, Prakrit, and Tamil. Sanskrit, Prakrit, and Tamil. Okay. Next thing is about inscriptions. Inscriptions were written on relatively hard surfaces such as stone and metals. And this is an example of old inscription that was inscribed on the orders of Ashoka. And this has been uh, preserved from Kandahar. Yeah, it was found in Kandahar, which is a present day Afghanistan. So inscription was inscribed in two different scripts, that is, two different scripts and two different languages, and that is Greek and Aramaic, because it was erected in the area where people used to speak Greek language and Aramaic language or script. Okay, so this was about the inscriptions. Next thing, next important thing from this chapter is BC. So BC stands for before Christ, and AD stands for Anno Domini, which means in the year of Lord, which is, and Lord here presents the Lord Christ. Okay, sometimes CE. CE is used instead of AD, and so sometimes CE is used for AD and BCE is used for BC. So this is important information that we need to remember. And what CE and BCE stand for? So CE stand for Common Era and BCE for Before Common Era. And sometimes as they are telling that BP means before present. So this was the only thing that was important from this chapter, from the facts point of view, from the uh, memorization point of view. So there is one more thing. Rosetta is a town in the north coast of Egypt. Okay, and inscription, basically inscribed stone, was found from this place. So this is the second chapter on the trail of the earliest people. So in this chapter, as I already told you, we will not be reading the whole chapter, but only the important things we'll try to read. And I always encourage you to take down your running notes. It will be very important and very beneficial for your last minute fast paced revision. It will help you immensely. Okay, so this is the important map that talks about Paleolithic site, Neolithic site, Megalithic site, and early villages. So these five things are very important. Let us try to figure out. So first one is Paleolithic site with this sign. So Bhimbetka is important Paleolithic site. The next thing is Hangsi is important Paleolithic site. Kundul caves is important Paleolithic sites. There are three Paleolithic sites. Okay. Next one is Neolithic site. Neolithic site is Payampalli, Hallur, both in Karnataka, and Daojali Harding, Chirand, Bihar, Koldihwa, Mahagara, Burzahun, and Mehergarh. So these sites are very important and we should try to memorize it. Next one is megalithic site. So megalithic site is from deep south, which is Adichanallur and Brahmagiri as well. Next is early village. So early village is very important. Early village was found in Inamgaon, which is in Maharashtra. So this was the important uh, archaeological sites from this chapter. Next important thing is um, this description about Bhimbetka. So as we already know that Bhimbetka is very important from historical point of view, but about this we will read in detail in subsequent chapters and in subsequent class NCERT books. So here it is written that Bhimbetka is present in present-day Madhya Pradesh, and it was a cave and rock shelter site, and it provided people protection from rain, heat, and wind, and it was used as a shelter also. So, and these shelters are close to the Narmada River. Okay. Next thing is sites. So, this is just basically the definition of sites. So, what are archaeological sites? So, archaeological sites are places where the remains of things were found, or basic things to be. Next thing is Kurnool caves. As we already saw earlier, Kurnool caves. So, from Kurnool caves, traces of ash have been found. What does it suggest? It suggests that they were familiar with the use of fire. And if you remember, Kurnool caves we studied, it was a site of Paleolithic era. So, from this information, we can derive that in Paleolithic era itself, it covers around 99% of human history. It was a very big period of time from around 2 lakh to 12,000 BC. So, so in Paleolithic era itself, man has had discovered the fire, the use of fire he was knowing. Okay, next thing, the important thing is that around 12,000 years ago, there were major changes in the climate of the world, and it transformed into a relatively warm conditions. So with that, grasslands were developed, and because grasslands were developed, there were increase in the number of cattle, those animals that survived on grass. So, so this was also a time when several grain-bearing grasses, including wheat, barley, and rice, grew naturally in different parts of the subcontinent. Okay. Next thing is the meaning of Paleolithic. So the word paleo means old and lithos means stones. So old stone age. So as I rightly mentioned, it was the period extend from 2 million years ago to 12,000 years ago. And it is divided into three periods, the lower, middle, and upper Paleolithic period. Yeah, it covers 99% of human history. And in this period, people were using microliths. And microliths are they are micro means small, very tiny. So tiny liths means stones, very tiny stones. They were stuck onto the handles of bone or wood to make tools such as saw and sickles. Next important thing from this chapter is rock paintings. So here, so this is a painting. Describe the painting. So a human figure is chasing a deer. So it is kind of hunting themed painting that can be seen. And it was done on the walls. And the best examples of these kind of paintings are from Madhya Pradesh and Sudan, Uttar Pradesh. And these paintings showcase wild animals, and they have shown great accuracy and skills. Next thing, it is important to know that ostriches were found in India during Paleolithic period. So there is a site that is called Patne. It is not in Bihar but in Maharashtra. And it is not Patna but Patne. It is in Maharashtra. And Patna, which is the capital of Bihar, is in Bihar. Next in, find Hungsian, Hansabu. I always call it Hungsian. Why? Anyways, it is Hansabu. Okay, so it is a Paleolithic site once again, and it was a factory site. So this was about chapter number 2. So this is the important date that is given over here. The Mesolithic period and the Neolithic period. So the Paleolithic period, Mesolithic period, and then Neolithic period, and then we'll talk about Chalcolithic period. So Paleolithic we saw from 2 million years ago to 12,000 BC. Then here 12,000 BC to 10,000 BC. In many cases, in many books, it is given 12,000 BC to 7,000 BC, but it differs. So, and Neolithic starts from 10,000 BC. Okay, Chalcolithic age coincides with the age of Harappa, which is 25 BC to 1500 or 1750 BC. So, this was the video, guys. It is about 2 chapters. So, the next video will start from chapter number 3, and I'll try to cover more chapters in one video. Till then, do like, share, and subscribe to my channel if you haven't yet. And I'll see you in the next video. Take care.